Hi, I'm Max. People know me as Slow-Mo or Mo Music. Today we're gonna check out Vibe, a track that went very viral on Instagram. I think it has like 1 billion streams or more on Instagram. When we did Vibe, it was all in stereo, and now we have Dolby Atmos, so we're gonna break down the follow-up of Vibe, Vibe 2, in Dolby Atmos. So what we have here is Vibe. This is the track that got viral on Instagram, which we released on High Mood. And so first of all, I think I start by playing it so people can hear which track it is. Maybe you recognize it. So this track started out as a beat for a hip-hop session, and well, it wasn't taken by the artist, so they didn't like it, or it wasn't their vibe. Basically it went to be in my folder of beats that weren't used, and when COVID came along, I found the beat again and started working on it, and found out that it perfectly fitted the whole lo-fi vibe I wanted to get from a track. There wasn't any intention of it being a viral track or being very popular. We just felt it went with the right mood at that time. It's a bit moody, but it's also a bit happy, and the guitar recordings are very nice and very soothing, and that's how the whole track started out basically. So you can listen to the guitars. It sounds very warm and very welcoming, and because it was meant for a hip-hop artist, I put this 808, this big 808 sounds under it, which don't make it very lo-fi or very standard lo-fi, if you know what I mean, but it just worked well, I guess. So we can listen to that over here. If you mute the guitars. This is not your typical lo-fi beat structure, or it's very, very trap American sounding. But because of the guitar, it comes into a whole new realm of chillness, I guess. Because this was made in a session and needed to be quick, there's not a lot of fancy plugins going on the track. So basically there's a multi-band compressor on the track that slightly balances out everything that comes into the master. I use GoFuzz to balance everything out even more, and then I just add a limiter to it. bass sound is basically an overpowered 808. So it's basically this 808 sample, but to make it sound fuller and have more saturation fill up the whole spectrum in the low end, I distort it. So basically it sounds like this. Which is very ugly, not gonna lie. And then I add a filter to it. I don't know if you know this from FabFilter. And it starts sounding like this. And because it oversaturates, and then you put a filter on it, it fills up the whole frequency low end part with saturation, so you have a very full overpowered sounding bass, but still not, how do you say it, ugly sounding. But that's also a bit of a subjective thing, obviously. And then I put a limiter on top of it just to control everything, so that it stays reasonably straight throughout the whole track and not overpower any other stuff. I don't sidechain it to a kick or something like that, because I like the kick to fight a bit with the 808 and make it sound distorted and overpowered when the kick comes in. So for example, if you hear it like this, they fight a little bit with each other, but that makes the whole sound how I think it needs to be. Doesn't need to be perfect. The whole track doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to sound a little bit like it was recorded live, just like the guitars are. So if you put everything together, it feels more like it's played in some sort of a live space, than that it's very, how do you say it, very controlled and very rigid. It needs to be a little bit fighting, all the stems need to fight a little bit with each other to give it the vibe that it needs to have. And obviously what makes a track is the vocal sample. And I just found it on Splice, like a lot of producers found their samples on Splice, but it just worked great, and I haven't heard anybody else use it before, so it's still there, out there somewhere. And I think it says vibe, but I'm not very sure if it actually says vibe. I'll be honest. But it sounded like that, so that's why the track called Vibe. And when we put it online, it was used and searched. It was a search term that was used a lot when people use it under their videos, and that's, I guess, why it became viral. And now it has almost 1 billion plays or more, I don't know. And 280,000 reels and counting. So after the success of Vibe on Instagram, we decided to make a follow-up, and we called it Vibe 2, which is a logical thing to call it, I guess. And because nowadays we have Dolby Atmos, we created the Dolby Atmos mix to go with it. And well, we're gonna make a breakdown of the mix, which is quite easy, to be honest. So we're using the headphones for you guys to listen to it on YouTube because of the limitations of Logic. So first, I think we start off by listening to the track itself. And afterwards I'm going to make a little breakdown. basically what I did, I made an Atmos version of Vibe 2. And since I'm not a pro, I just placed the track in the right order, what we call a bed. So we start off with the bass. I get the bass to go to the LFE channel mainly, because it's very important to get your bass to the right place. And after that we have all the other things like affix, keys, kick, piano, snares, loops like hats, and of course the vocal. So what I decided to do is mainly focus first on where to pan the right elements, starting off with the bass and of course the kick, which need to be, in my opinion, going to the stereo field and the LFE channel mainly to make a strong bass for the Atmos mix. So if we listen to that. So you see that still sounds more stereo than Atmos. And then what we did is, for instance, the FX, which is over here. That can be more into the room. So we pan that very wide over here. So it fills up the room more, and it goes to the outside speakers instead of your main front left and right, but also the sides and the backs, so you have more of a spatial feeling around you. And something like an FX, or maybe, for instance, this are, I think, the birds and the noise of the track. They are all around us now because of the panning. And if we add the keys to it, and also the keys, I try to put those more like we have the feeling it's more like you're surrounded by the keys instead of they're in front of you. So I mainly try to push them a little bit forward, but have them be around me as well. So I have a feeling it's like I'm fully into the mix with the keys. So I try to decide on which instrument needs the whole immersive kind of feeling, instead of certain elements that I think need to be more stereo to keep it feel like still like one song instead of a separated song with all these sounds being separated. It needs to feel as a whole, and because of that I think it's very important that kick, bass, drums and that kind of stuff is in your stereo field at first, and then needs to be panned out more towards your rear, sides, top speakers, etc, etc. So that's what we did with the piano. But obviously there's not a lot going on right now, except of panning it in the right directions. So what I did is that the snares, which give that stereo element, are panned far right and far left. So you have this broad feeling, this feeling of wideness in your mix. hope you can hear it over here. It gives us this wide feeling that you need for an Atmos mix as well. And then if you add the hi-hat loop to it, you can hear that if I space those out to the sides as well, it adds on to the snares and gives it that very three-dimensional feeling you need when you have a Atmos track without being out of balance. So for me, the whole key is to get this balance between stereo and Atmos right without destroying the whole feeling of the track falling apart, if you know what I mean by that. After that we have the vocal, and I use that as a moving element to the track. So as you can hear, the vocal is the centerpiece of the whole track and gives it that chilled out vibe. And I thought it would be very cool if the vocal itself just like turns around your head basically, so it gives the feeling that the girl that is singing is actually walking around you maybe, and you are part of the whole band that as a listener of the track itself. And I record that with the object panner from Logic, and recorded it live. So I recorded the whole movement. I recorded the whole movement of the vocal live. And you can see how it moves like that. For example, if I go to right, yeah, we can do this again. We can do the same for the height as well. That gives it the whole immersive feel for the whole track. Since the stems were already mixed in stereo, I didn't need to do anything else but pan them in the right position and give them the movement they need to make it into an immersive track. The only thing I use on top of it is the Hornet Samp, which is a compressor, limiter, equalizer that you can put on your master chain, and it automatically connects with all the channels, and you can apply clipping, compression and equalizing on your whole track without doing it on every separate channel.